There's a lot of outrage over USF versus Miami being played on the CW, a game that features two top 25 teams out of the state of Florida. Is being played on a network that most of us don't even know about. If you grew up watching the Saturday morning cartoons, Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh on the CW, then you probably are familiar with this network. It's been a long time since I've tapped into the CW. I didn't even know that the CW was broadcasting sports events now. So they no longer showcase the Saturday morning cartoons, and now they are focusing on broadening their horizons as the network. And that involves showing ACC football games. And they pick these games before the season. Now, they're hoping that these end up being good games, but most of the times they're picking from a bunch of throwaway games. USF versus Miami was a throwaway game that ESPN, the ACC network, didn't think was worthy being shown on their airwaves. So they said, hey, CW, you got an opportunity to pick this game if you want to. Well, all of a sudden, it becomes one of the biggest games of this week due to USF having their first two wins against top 25 opponents. Boise State, okay, not surprising. Florida on the road in a swamp and Gainesville? No one saw that coming. Be honest about it. USF outplayed Florida and they outcoached them. And they are an 18.5-point underdog against Miami. USF, even if they lose to Miami, as long as they win out and win their conference championship, they're going to be in the playoffs. USF is the kind of G5 team that deserves to actually be in the playoffs because they have played a schedule that is on par to a Power 4 team schedule. They have beaten Power 4 opponents, very good ones at that. Florida and Boise State, who was just in the playoffs last year. Those are great resume builders. So even if they do get blown out by Miami, USF has more than already proven that they're going to be the G5 representative in the college football playoffs this year. They have a great quarterback and Brian Brown, led by a very phenomenal head coach that is rising very quickly throughout the head coaching ranks, and Alex Golish. And depending on how this game goes, win or lose, if USF keeps this thing close, this is going to be a formidable team in the college football playoffs. They got a good defense. They got an athletic front seven. But what gives Miami the advantage over USF and why Miami won't have the same issues beating this team that Florida did is that up front, they're just way more dominant. They're going to be able to run the football and just take so much time off the clock. USF with Brian Brown, they'll have too much pressure on their plate with what they're going to have to do every offense possession. Florida was averaging over 5 yards per carry on this USF defense. Miami can pretty much do the same thing. And unless USF's front seven is going to be able to shut down Miami's rushing attack, then I don't see how USF can hang around in this game. The defensive line of Miami also, they're going to be able to keep Brian Brown in the pocket. Once you allow Brian Brown to get outside the pocket or he breaks contain, he makes a guy miss, that's when he does a lot of damage. That's when he's had some of his best plays. Miami, with the athleticism that they have on their defensive line, they can contain Brian Brown. They can keep him in the pocket. And even if they want him to be a pocket passer, he can definitely do that. But with the secondary that Miami has and this pass rush that they also possess, this isn't a game that Brian Brown is going to be able to win from within the pocket. He has to use his legs. His legs are essentially an extension of USF's offense. He's their leading passer and their leading rusher. He is this offense. And when you slow him down, you take USF out of the game. The magic number for USF is 27. If they can somehow find a way to get to 27 points, they can beat Miami. But unless Miami's defense just completely has a bunch of coverage bust and a bunch of catastrophic injuries, they're going to shut down USF's offense. Their quarterback, as good as he is, I don't think that the talent around them is going to be good enough to help prevail USF against Miami, a better coach team. Florida, they could have won that game, but they had a bunch of questionable decision-making, poor quarterback play. They just didn't look as good as what they were supposed to look in that game. We've already seen Miami take down Notre Dame. I don't think we get a Mario Cristobal special against USF. There are games that Mario Cristobal tends to have when Miami plays down the competition. I don't see this USF game being one of those Mario Cristobal specials, though. Unless Brian Brown goes complete Lamar Jackson and Miami can't tackle him, and Mario Cristobal has some questionable coaching decisions, if this does end up being a close game that costs Miami, that's the only way USF can upset Miami. Brian Brown has to have a Heisman moment. So give me Miami 42, USF 14. That's my score prediction for this game.